feels like 2008 all over again. The best way to protect your savings is with gold and silver. As the national debt soars past $34 trillion and the banking system wobbles, your financial well-being could be at risk. Precious metals like gold and silver hedge against inflation and dollar devaluation. They're perfect for diversifying your portfolio. With Goldco, it's easy. Get first-class service, step-by-step guidance, and a free wealth protection kit. In just 3 simple steps, you can roll over your 401k or IRA into precious metals, tax and penalty-free. Todd Callender and I chose Goldco because they stand out with over 6,000 5-star ratings, an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, and a highest buyback price guarantee. Don't wait. Secure your financial future. Visit survival.gold or click the link below to get your free 2024 Wealth Protection Kit now. Government agencies have been weaponized against us. The Secret Service reacts too late. The FBI manufactures cases. The ATF targets our firearms, and the FDA screws us to drive big pharma profits. We must support Trump, who literally took a bullet for us, and back independent media like Survival Dispatch News. Now they're aiming to make Black Forest NMN a regulated anti-aging product to drive more profits for big pharma. NMN is the only over-the-counter supplement I've taken that's noticeably increased my energy levels, allowing me to work extreme hours. I've taken almost every OTC supplement over the past 42 years that I've been training, many of them as a world champion powerlifter. Get your NMN before it's too late. Buy 2, get 1 free. Click the link below. Stay alert, stay strong, and stay safe. And we're back. Got my co-host John with me tonight.
Hey, guys.
Thank you, baby Jesus. It's always better when John's here to help with all the controls. And we've got our undercover intel guy S2 with us tonight as well, because he's the guy who has all the top secret stuff ready to share with us. All righty. So Mike Sterling, say again, S2.
I said, I don't know about all that.
Well, that's the story, and we're sticking to it. All right. So,
okay.
Anyway,
tell it any way you like.
There you go. So Mike Sterling is traveling for the next few days, so he could not join us tonight, which means that I will do the conflicted question of the night. For those of you who are not familiar with this, there's a set of card games called Conflicted. I think they've got a dozen different card decks, and we read a question from one of the decks each episode of Survival Dispatch News. At the end of the video, everybody on the panel gives their answer, and we want to see your answers in the comment section. So here we go. We have a new player, by the way, named Pablo. I have no idea who Pablo is, but Pablo, the power-thirsty son of a Mexican drug lord, saw an opportunity in the collapse of society. He wanted to rise up and control areas that were governed by chaos. If power was your goal and you had a few dozen men and arms at your disposal, how would you go about increasing your influence? So I don't think they're asking you what you would do if you're a Pablo, but if you're one of the good guys and you're dealing with this chaotic stuff with the bad guys like Pablo, how would you influence others to elevate your position inside of your community? All right, update-wise, we'll be back the next 3 nights with live episodes. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday at the usual 7 p.m. Eastern time. There's going to be lots of grid down discussions in the coming days. It'll start tomorrow night. Won't be the only topic we cover, but tongue-tied there. Grid down, number one concern when we poll our audience. Doesn't matter how we poll them, when we poll them, it's always the number one concern as far as terrorist or enemy attacks are concerned. So we'll have lots of good information on that in the next few nights. And last bit of boilerplate at the beginning of this video, if you go to patreon.com/survival dispatch, we have free memberships. We have paid memberships that are $9.99 a month. You get our 228-page essentials guide. If you had nothing else and the shit hit the fan, that 228-page guide will give you all of the information that you need to survive SHTF. You also get 50% off the rest of our e-magazines, Survival Dispatch Insider magazines, behind-the-scenes content, early access to content. You also get the briefs for all of these videos, and you get access to our Signal chat group. So if you want to join Signal and you're a Survival Dispatch insider, send me an email with your phone number after you've installed Signal, after you've registered your number with it, and I will add you to that group. It's taken off. We haven't even had it available for.
It's more like it's off the chain, Chris. It's insane in there, and I love every minute of it.
I went to bed last night, and there was something like 100 updates, which I knew I wouldn't be able to read through. So I swiped it, marked everything as read. I got up this morning. There was 148 since I went to bed.
Most of it was a lot of it was stuff that I posted last night after everybody else went to bed.
But John's right. The level of engagement is really, really good. So I originally felt like we would do the Signal group so that if the shit hit the fan, that we would have some sort of secure channel to push intel out, and we'll still do that if that happens. But it's turned out to be a pretty good discussion on pretty much everything that's affecting us right now.
I'd like to make a comment on that real quick, Chris, if you don't mind. So, guys, if you're in that insider Signal channel, it's not just to get intel from us; it's also to provide us intel from your local AOs, because the more we have, the more we can formulate what we think may happen next.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so the primary topic tonight is going to be what to expect after November the 5th. And I want to make sure that everybody understands this clearly. We're at the point where this election will probably be too big to rig. But don't take your foot off the gas. We've all got to go and vote between now and November the 5th to ensure that it's too big to rig. Too big to rig means that the Democrats would have to cheat with over 100% voter turnout in multiple precincts, which would be very obvious to be cheating. But I think everybody is getting the feeling, just like Dr. Carlson said, the vibe. The vibe is it's going to be a landslide for Trump. He's probably, in addition to the electoral college votes, he's probably going to win the popular vote as well. However, we need to keep the hammer down on this. So this is an interesting exchange with Jack Posobiec and somebody else. And we'll get into our predictions as far as what we think is going to happen after November 5th. But I want to share a couple things just before we dive into that. So this particular individual, this Aaron Rupar, no idea who he is. He said wind energy is making whales crazy and causing them to off themselves. Well, that's not exactly what he said, but he did say that the wind turbines are causing problems for whales, and that is the case, number one. Number two, there was a huge wind farm at the end of Lake Ontario towards Carthage Watertown area years ago, and it disrupted the wildlife so much that there were multiple suits over it. And I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was actually shut down. So anyway, this is funny, right? Jack Posobiec, Rogan interview opening the eyes of a lot of deniers to how good Trump actually is at this stuff. He's making deep references across dozens of topics, showing a vast, detailed knowledge-based understanding of how the world works. So this Aaron guy answers back. He said, wind energy is making whales crazy and causing them off themselves. Jack Posobiec's response is, you think women have penises? So we're back to what I've been saying all along. Those of us who are sane still have a sense of humor. It's the crazy liberal people who are all jacked up on SSRIs that are miserable. And boy, have we got some videos to show you on that topic tonight. However, again, as I mentioned, I want to play a couple funny things here at the beginning. This is absolutely hilarious. So the guy who tears down the Trump flag in this video, by the way, claims that his father's a congressman. Can't say whether that's the case or not, but this is some pretty funny stuff. Oh! Oh! This was a total setup, by the way. This is not fake. They did this prank on purpose because they knew some moron would come and try to steal the signs.
Oh, what the hell's wrong with you?
Must be Arizona.
You know who my dad is?
Who are you?
My dad's gonna sue you. He's a congressman.
I'll blast you again if you don't back
Well,
up.
that's a congressman.
Oh, really? Where? Oh, hey. Let's get out of here. Oh, really? Where? Oh, hey. Let's get out of here.
Oh my God. That's got to be one of the best pranks that I've seen in quite a while. I mean, kudos to them both.
If he really wanted to get the upper hand, he can now call the police because what he did is a crime.
Right. So, all right. Like I said, I wanted to start with a little bit of levity, a couple things, on the humorous side, but we're going to get into some more serious stuff. So, we shared a flow chart a couple nights ago on ways that this election cycle could pan out, the good, the bad, the ugly. And it's pretty safe at this particular point in time to conclude that if the bad guys, the globalists, the cabal, New World Order, whatever you want to call them, if they had their dithers, they would assassinate Donald Trump before the election. And I personally think that holding a rally at Madison Square Garden tomorrow at 5 p.m. is not the best decision. And I have a number of reasons why I don't think it's the best decision. Let me say on the positive side, the NYPD love Trump, and the NYPD know how to do these types of events probably better than any other city PD out there. But at the end of the day, anything related to New York City is a major terrorist target because they want the notoriety of doing something, to a major city like New York City, which is why they ran the planes into the Twin Towers, so on and so forth. And Madison Square Gardens has some pretty exceptional security. They use facial recognition cameras all over the place to hopefully catch the bad guys. However, I'm going to share a couple of images here that show the construction of Madison Square Gardens. Was built in 1963. And if you look all the way down at the bottom here, you will see subway lines running underneath the arena. And there's a stop there as well. So it's not like they run underneath and don't touch. This one might show a little bit better. This is a cross section of the original drawings from 1963. So there's a concourse where people can get on and off the subway system here. And I'll show one last one that kind of shows a cutaway of the entire building. What I'm getting at here is that this is not an easy venue to secure and protect. And I have no doubt in my mind that something will happen tomorrow. I'm not saying that there's going to be a bomb. I'm not saying that they're going to succeed in killing Trump. It might be something along the lines of afterwards. They say, hey, look, we captured these guys. We caught them in the act, whatever the case may be, or God forbid, it could be much, much worse than that. But at this stage of the game, I don't think it was the best choice, and definitely not the safest choice to do this rally tomorrow at Madison Square Gardens. And I think everybody needs to put a prayer in for Donald Trump that nothing super bad happens to him tomorrow. John, do you want to weigh in on it? Thoughts?
Well, we know they're not going to stop. That's the biggest thing. The people that want him dead, and it's quite obvious. I know we're going to get to the Rogan stuff here in a little bit, but it's pretty obvious after you listen to 3 hours of him talk about all these different issues. There's a lot of people in the world that hate Donald Trump. It's not just people within our country; it's people from outside of our country. The unfortunate thing is because our border's been open for so long, a lot of those people from outside our country are inside our country now. And they have unlimited resources because we've been funding them, like the big pallets of cash that we've been sending to the Taliban.
Right.
They have more money than they've ever had before to conduct these operations. And with money, it opens up a lot of opportunities for bribery to get things set up. So, I wouldn't put anything past them. But yeah, I agree with you, Chris. We need to pray for him. We need to pray that the next 2 weeks, well, less than 2 weeks now.
Yeah. From Tuesday.
The next 8-9 days are critical because we have to get across the finish line with this election. And then afterwards, we pray that he stays safe until January 20th when he actually takes over. I do believe this thing has reached critical mass, and I don't think there's anything they can do short of killing him to stop him from being elected at this point.
I agree. S2, do you want to weigh in on this?
I still have my doubts whether they're going to try to assassinate him before. I still think the play would be to put him in office and then do it while he's in office. That would cause more of a turmoil within the government at that point, which in turn would roll outward into the civilian population.
I mean, anything's possible at this particular point in time, but taking them out before the election means that they basically have a cakewalk to power. And
well,
I
the other problem,
they take that opportunity, before rather than later, in my opinion.
Well, the other problems that we're going to run into as well as we discussed last night or yesterday or whenever it was, I forget, the certification of his presidency. That's another major hurdle there that could continue on for however many months, if they want to continue to take it down that way. And if I'm not mistaken, at some point down the road, if they don't certify it, then I think it's left up to the vice president as to who actually wins the election. So it's kind of like the whole Jenna Griswold thing, where she was in charge, or not Jenna Griswold, but Katie Hobbs down in Arizona, who was overseeing her own election.
Yeah, entirely possible. There's lots of crazy scenarios that could unfold. I'm actually seeing a lot more chatter with regards to mainstream media putting out this narrative that they are catching people on Donald Trump's side cheating. And it would not surprise me if one of their plays that they may run with would be to say after the election that Donald Trump cheated, his campaign cheated, therefore he's disqualified. And it's just another potential avenue that they could use, but we're already starting to see them float those trial balloons. And at this point, I personally think anything's possible. But John, I see you put a link in there for Sean Ryan. Do you want to lead it off before I play this? Because I don't think I've seen this one yet.
Yeah. So, well, this is, I agree with what he says here. I think that a lot of people realize how monumental this Joe Rogan episode that landed yesterday is. Currently on YouTube, it's at 20 million views. Who knows how many views on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on all of these other people that just listen. Just 20 million people already in less than 24 hours have watched this thing.
Amazing, isn't it?
I listened to it. Well, I actually watched it while I was at the gym today, had it kind of playing. I just go back and forth while I was on the treadmill and lifting and stuff. The content was amazing. Joe Rogan's a fantastic interviewer. Trump can flow from topic to topic. A lot of people don't realize, he just kind of let the cat out of the bag. I think it was on the Andrew Scholl's podcast. He's like, I weave when I talk about subjects. I weave in and out of this and then come back home. And his ability to move in and out of topics and speak with knowledge on them is kind of unparalleled. It's quite amazing. A lot of people talk about, Vance is a very articulate guy. Trump just can really, really move in and out. And he's light on his feet when he's talking. He just has this ability, and him and Rogan really paired up well together. But the one thing, and Sean Ryan's talk in this thing is very, very important because it's the thing that I think some people are missing. So go ahead and play that, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it.
Well, I mean, this interview with Rogan, I'm convinced that it's all AI because Kamala told me that he's slowing down. They think he has dementia.
Yep.
He's not very fast on his feet. I mean, you didn't get the memo?
No, right.
All right.
What a day, man. What a day. Last night, that interview between Trump and Rogan it just means so much more than just a presidential candidate being on the #1 podcast in the world. That signifies the end of legacy media. They can't pull that off. And they have lied to us for so long, and shoved agenda after agenda and lie after lie and propaganda down our throats since before I was even born. And nobody seemed to be paying attention until the last couple years. And, just what a historic moment. And I'll tell you another thing that signifies is all these politicians that hide behind 30-second news bites and get away with all the shit that they've been getting away with. That shit is done. A new rule was written last night, and that is, if you want to be successful in politics, you're going to have a conversation, a long form, unscripted conversation with the people that you intend to serve. The days of us serving you and you getting away with all that shit, that's fucking over. And what a win for America, man. The downfall of the propaganda legacy media. It's been a long time coming. It will be 100% completely dead with the baby boomer generation. The only ones left watching that shit.
And that is the truth.
Yep. I think that's the biggest thing. Is it's almost like we, the people, have taken back the narrative with the podcasting world. Do we get everything right all the time? Probably not, but it's a lot more accurate than the mainstream media, who has an agenda, who has a purpose behind what they're saying. We're trying to report the news to the best of our ability. They are trying to shape your view of the world, not just give you news, but shape your view of the world. And they've been doing it for a long time. One of the first knife in legacy media was when cable networks started, because no longer did you have 4 networks that were giving you all the same narrative. You had a much bigger choice to make, because there were a lot of different news agencies. But when podcasting became the podcasting revolution launched, all of a sudden you have all of these people that can sit down and have a conversation and talk about things. You have experts in different fields giving you more information than the news ever could, and it's caught fire. And I think he's right. I think that this is what Kamala Harris is doing. She's doing a traditional hide behind the media shield and give little sound bites and stuff. And when she actually gets put on the spot and has to do 20 minutes, she falls apart, because there's nothing there behind this veneer that she's put up. There's nothing there. She has no command of the subject matter. She has no ability to jump from topic to topic. She doesn't have pre-recorded or copied answers to the questions memorized or on a teleprompter. She's lost. And that's very obvious. And so I think from now on, at minimum, to be a good candidate, to be a relevant candidate, you're going to be able to have a 3-hour conversation on multiple subject matters. A glass ceiling was broken with this podcast. And it's been a long time coming. He's been going on podcasts for months now and having 1 to 3 hour conversations. And what is going to happen from now on is the people are going to demand that, or they're not going to vote for you.
I like how Trump said that he would like to see all candidates from now forward go through cognitive testing before the reins of the country are handed over to them. I mean, she is not a very intelligent person, and he says it multiple times in that interview. But she is very slow thinking on her feet. She does not have command of the issues at hand. And it's got nothing to do with the fact that she's a woman. There's plenty of women that are far more competent and capable than she is. There you go. Kamala's a perfect Marxist brain dead. Exactly. S2, do you want to have anything to say with regards to Sean Ryan's comments before we dive into the actual topic of this video?
Well, I think it's been going on for a lot longer. I remember back in the day, and I'm going to date myself here, when Al Bundy, or not Al Bundy, but when Kelly Bundy went on the cable news net, or went on the cable network and got her own little show for $15 and said anybody with $15 can go on a cable network and have their own show now. So I think that was kind of the revolution that started to begin with alternative media. And I said a long time ago that the only way to win this information war was going to be able to steal the bullhorn away from the communists. And that is effectively what has been done. There's been a lot of very effective people out there. Sean Ryan's been one of them, but I want to say probably one of the more iconic ones is Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon got out there and just lit into everybody, and he started this firestorm. So kudos to Steve Bannon. Free Steve Bannon, by the way.
He's supposedly being let out in 3 days, but he should have been let out weeks ago, which is, bullshit. But I think on the same topic as what you just raised, S2, is that if the powers that be were able to censor and control all of the information like before, that they would have just kept on rolling. But because they can't get away with it any longer, that's what's causing this, quantum shift in perception. So,
well, and I'll say another thing on this subject too. It's more about people connecting and communicating with each other. I mean, constantly. I'll use Telegram as the example, because that's where a lot of this alternative media stuff started. That's where a lot of these podcasters came from, is off of Telegram. And when you have people across the country, if I've got somebody out in California and I'm over here on the East Coast, and I've managed to develop a certain level of trust with that person, and they can show me actual evidence that this is what's really going on in my area, then I can say, okay, now I can talk about this. But I have to get another source to verify what he's saying is true. And that's what we call journalism.
Right.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, so let's dive into the main topic for this video, which is pretty much guaranteed that there's going to be violence, civil unrest from people on the left. And one of the reasons that, at least I predict that that's going to happen, is these assholes here. So I can't remember the squad member, top left corner, but there needs to be unrest in the streets, pardon me. Then Kamala, protesters should not let up. And then Crazy Maxine Waters, if you see anybody from that cabin at a restaurant or a department store or at a gasoline station, you get out and create a crowd and you push back on them and tell them they're not welcome anymore. She has said far more incendiary things than that incite violence. And then Nancy Pelosi, I just don't know why there aren't uprisings all over the country. Maybe there will be. Of course, that was when Donald Trump was in office. And so this is basically the gist of it, is that most Americans, there's been multiple polls done on this. I think one that I read said something like 84% of Americans expect that there will be violence after the election. And with the current trajectory that Donald Trump is on, it's going to be the left. It's going to be Antifa and other groups like that, the Karens, BLM, all stuff that's related to Obama and the Soros that do this. And, I've got some stuff to share coming up here in a minute as far as what's happening in the UK right now. And there's all kinds of protests going on today in the UK. And there's all kinds of civil unrest. And guess who's at the center of it all? Antifa. Surprise, surprise, right? Now, I actually had some polls in the brief that I added to this brief earlier today. And then when I went to check them tonight, it was both of the sites Axios and nationalreview.com wanted a membership to view them, and it was a completely different web browser, so it wasn't like they cookied me or something. But regardless, I got to play this next one before I get you guys to weigh in, because there's some additional information come to light on this, and this pretty much sums up the left right here. So let me share this, and then we'll talk about it. That broad that was screaming in that child's face is one of Kamala's staffers. And I don't know that a lot of people have caught that. She is not a Kamala supporter. She's an employee of her campaign. And I don't know if y'all can read lips very well, but I'm going to back this up and watch what this black girl says. She says, "What the fuck?" So that pretty much puts a very fine point on it. Who in their right mind starts screaming in an infant's face like that? And lo and behold, it turns out to be one of her election campaign staff. John?
Well, the crazy left, the psycho left, the Marxist left, who do you think they're going to attract? The crazy people.
Right.
People that don't actually know what's behind all this stuff. The stupid people, in all honesty. You've got to be stupid if you think that this stuff works, if there's anything behind it, or you're just possessed by something otherworldly. You know, it's just, we see all of this stuff, and we've seen it for years from these type of people. It is, they're always accusing us of doing this stuff. They're always accusing us of doing what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to make a prediction right now. January 6th next year, 2025, is going to be what they tried to make January 6th, 2021. It's absolutely going to be.
Highly possible.
I truly believe that, and you better be prepared. They're going to pull out all the stops. Nothing is off limits for these people.
Yeah, I totally agree. I just want to go back to this video for a second. And my opinion is this is what happens when there are no consequences for people, right? So, you know, that girl is clearly part of the participation trophy generation, you know, telling them that they're special and they're winners, whether they finish first or last. And there's never any consequences for anything. There's no consequences for failure. There's no consequences for not performing well at your job. And I believe that that's a big part of why we're seeing this type of behavior. And the next video shows more of this behavior from another, you know, unbalanced person who I'd bet money on is taking SSRIs. But before I go to that, S2, I want to hear what you've got to say with regards to that campaign staffer screaming in a baby's face like that. I'll tell you what, like straight up, she'd be making a trip to the dentist if that was my kid.
My only comment is make ass whoopings great again.
Well, let's take a look at this next video, because I believe she's a candidate for an ass whooping as well. So here we go.
Oregon.
Yeah.
For abortion. Are you cool with that?
No, I that's very sad. What percentage is it of those women?
What do you mean, what fucking percent? All of them. That's the only way they can get abortions
So-
by coming here.
Every woman that's getting an abortion is due to medical procedures?
No, most abortions are.
No, they're
Most
not.
Abortion was of a dead embryo.
Okay, sorry to hear that.
That's most abortions.
That's
are
not most
a dead-
abortions.
Yes, it is. Because
Have you looked at statistics?
most abortions are cleanups after miscarriages, or women can't even get those died
No,
now.
it's less than
No,
1.7%.
you're a fucking moron.
You don't know the
Because
statistics.
miscarriages are extremely common. and most women opt to have
Miscarriages
the
and abortion are
DNC.
different. What is abortion?
No, a miscarriage is a medical abortion.
No,
Yes, it
no, it's not. Okay, let me educate you. Okay.
Yes, it
Well, hold on,
yes.
hold on. Give that. Hey, give that. Hey, hey.
Hey,
Get
that's
back.
not okay. Don't put your hand.
Hey.
Don't put your hands on me after
Wow.
I freaking hit you 3 times and threw a freaking latte in your face.
And this is all current. These are all current videos and stories, by the way. I didn't have to go back in time. There's a plethora of this type of information out there. But again, we're back to another person that my belief is has never faced any consequences for their actions one way or the other and thinks that they can do whatever they want. And there's more to that video. There was a second person recording it. And the guy who had the drink thrown on him that was speaking, I'll give him credit for maintaining his composure, because there's a lot of people that you flick that switch and really bad things are going to happen physically to you.
Yep. It's well, and what's crazy is like she is positing a false narrative. You know, a D&E miscarriage, you know, that's just to remove the dead baby from that. 98.7% of abortions are elective. They are not something that has to be done.
Right.
So he was absolutely right. She was absolutely wrong. But that's the left. They'll be the only ones still listening to legacy media.
So whether she was right or wrong, and I agree, she was definitely wrong. The point I wanted to make, again, because the theme of tonight's video is what to expect from the left after Donald Trump wins in a landslide, not just the electoral college vote, but the popular vote as well. So I'm not sure who this guy is, popped up in my news feed, oil field rando, but he puts a really good point on this. Your most ruthless enemy is not some dude in the Middle East with an AK, an RPG, and a ski mask. Your most ruthless enemy is some chick in America with a liberal arts degree, a SSRI prescription, and too much free time. And the past two videos are just like a very small sampling of that, basically support the point. So I'm going to play a little bit more unhinged stuff here from MSNBC. And what's interesting with this video is this is what I alluded to earlier. I believe that one of the paths that the bad guys are considering, again, they'll take whatever the path of least resistance is to keep Donald Trump out of power, is to cheat on behalf of Donald Trump, blatantly cheat on behalf of Donald Trump. And then after the election, he's announced the winner and he got the most votes, present all this evidence of Donald Trump's campaign supposedly cheating and then disqualifying him for that. And this is the beginning. These shows right here, these talking heads on propaganda, mainstream media, this is planting that seed.
Yeah,
Former chair of the RNC right there.
actually, many January 6th in the state certifications. Yep. But then Donald Trump is not the president right now. And never forget, he went to the East Room of the White House on election night, declared victory like some authoritarian dictator from the people's house, yep, and said he had won the election when we all knew he did not. And I was standing in Delaware. We were in our boiler room and we were all watching this television. We knew he was going to do it, but seeing him do it still mouths agape.
Shocking.
Still shocking. And then we spent the next week explaining to people, the press, doing these live press conferences about these are the numbers and this is why Donald Trump is not going to be the president.
Yeah, I think Mark Elias has laid it out very well. And it's really good to see that the Democratic Party, the campaign, and third-party organizations out there in the democracy space have got lawyers geared up and ready to go. To your point, Alicia, it is a very important and unfortunate shift in our politics. The lying and the on-ground cheating has already started. We've seen it. It has the official patina of legislative action like we see in Georgia, but that's part of their steal and their lie about this election. So overwhelm the ballot with your vote, baby. They can't top that.
Right.
I don't think there's enough liberals that could find their way to the polls to begin with.
It's funny because for years we were so frustrated with the Republican Party, and there's Michael Steele, former chair of the RNC. And he's basically nothing more than a leftist communist dirtbag now. It's insane. It's insane. We had enemies in our own midst, you know, the likes of Paul Ryan and all these other people for years. And I'm so glad one of the biggest gifts that Trump gave us was exposing those fake conservatives.
Absolutely. And this is kind of the crux of all of this, by the way. So if President Trump had wanted to ruin this country, he would have done so in his first term. If Kamala Harris had wanted to fix this country, she would have done so in the last 4 years. That's the truth. Like, how do you argue against that? They keep saying Donald Trump's going to do this, Donald Trump's going to do that. Really? Why didn't he do that when he was in power? If you're so convinced that he's the devil incarnate and he's going to do these things, I mean, go ahead.
The problem that I have with all of this bullshit rhetoric and everything is they're trying to hold Trump responsible for the actions of other people. You can't hold someone else responsible for the actions of others. That's like saying the fork made me fat.
Mm-hmm.
Give us an example of trying to hold him responsible for somebody else's actions.
Well, what this guy's saying is that there's Trump voters out there that are cheating on Trump's behalf. You know, once again, Trump can't control what other stupid people do. It's if he could do that, he could control Kamala.
Well, but that's a moot point as far as I'm concerned. As to, there's nobody cheating on behalf of Donald Trump. This is Democrats cheating and trying to make it look like it's Donald Trump so that they can accuse his campaign of cheating. So I wouldn't even qualify. I wouldn't even, bother saying, well, if somebody cheats on behalf of Trump, that's on them, not Trump. There's no cheating happening for Trump. The cheating is all on the other side. And
I agree.
They're cheating to make it look like Trump cheated,
I agree, but the logical brain side of my head saying, no matter who's cheating, what they're trying to do is they're trying to put the onus on Trump, saying that basically he's the one that's directing the cheating.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I disagree with that. I think that they're not trying to shift the onus. It's a setup. All they're trying to do is set up a narrative. And the narrative is that Donald Trump and his campaign have cheated, and therefore we have to disqualify him. I think it's really that simple. And so in that vein, this next video, it's a little bit longer. I'm going to let a good chunk of it play because it's on topic as far as the cheating is concerned. So Lancaster, Pennsylvania officials have busted a large-scale fraudulent voter registration scheme that includes thousands of applications with the same handwriting, fake signatures, fake addresses, etc. They've discovered this scheme in other Pennsylvania counties. So I'm going to play a chunk of what the district attorney has to say.
Adams. On Tuesday afternoon, I was contacted by Krista Miller, who is our chief clerk of elections, regarding potentially fraudulent voter registration applications that had recently been received by her office. At that time, she informed me that the elections office received approximately 2,500 applications at or near the deadline for registering to vote. While preparing to process these applications, staff noticed that numerous applications appeared to have the same handwriting, were filled out on the same day with unknown signatures, and some were previously registered voters, excuse me, and the signatures on file did not match the signatures on the application. So before I begin to summarize our preliminary findings, I must remind everyone that this is an ongoing investigation, and for that reason, I will be limited in the details that I can provide. Lancaster County detectives began investigating the voter registration applications and immediately found applications that were indeed fraudulent. Indicators of fraud included inaccuracies with the addresses listed on the applications, false personal identification information, as well as false names. A number of the applications also contained names that did not match the provided Social Security information. In some cases, applications contained correct personal identification information, such as the correct address, correct phone number, date of birth, driver's license number, and social security number. But the individuals listed on the applications informed detectives that they did not request the form, they did not complete the form, and verified that the signature on the form was not theirs. At this point, it is believed that the fraudulent voter registrations are connected to a large-scale canvassing operations for voter registrations that date back to June. However, the majority of the applications received are dated August 15th and after.
So I'm going to stop it there because we get the gist of it. I will say that on the Democrat side on X, there's some people trying to say that this is Scott Pressler, who's prolific at getting people registered, especially in Pennsylvania. He even has official residence there. That this is nothing like anything that Scott Pressler would do. That guy is totally above the board, and they're grasping at straws. And I would bet every penny I've got that when the details do come out on that particular fraud that's occurring in Pennsylvania, it's 100% on the Democrat side. No offense.
Sounds like GBI strategies is at it again.
Right. Estu, John, you want to add any more comments to it? Because this is just one of many things that's going on right now. And I think we're going to see more and more of it because people are paying attention this time.
Well, I think that your last comment's exactly what I was getting ready to say. People are paying attention. And once again, this is a gift that Trump gave us by exposing this. You know why he didn't go quietly in 2020? First of all, he didn't lose. Secondly, he wanted this exposed for this election. And that's the most important thing. We have to expose this fraud because it doesn't take a whole lot to shift a county. If you're talking on the county level or the district level, a lot of these are like those 51-49 things. So a couple thousand votes, 2,500 votes in a county is massive.
Yeah.
It's massive. So you're talking about something that is, that can shift, and you shift that county and this county and do a little bit of that. I mean, it's a very easy thing to shift especially in a place like Pennsylvania. Let's not even start talking about the city level of things and the precinct level of things, where a few hundred votes can shift that.
They absolutely can.
It's called shaping the battlefield.
Yep, exactly. Bingo.
Yep, 100%. So speaking of shaping the battlefield, these clowns in the entertainment industry that for sure, the cabal, whatever you want to call them, has dirt on these sexually deviant people. I mean, the only reason that you see people like The Rock did it, Bruce Springsteen, I mean, the list goes on and on, that come out and go hard against patriots and hard against Trump. They have done something that the cabal is hanging over their head, and they're basically saying, you either go out there and say this or we will expose you. It's probably stuff related to Epstein and Diddy, if nothing else. So this guy here has a total breakdown on this entire vibe, again, as Tucker Carlson said, swinging in Trump's direction. So we don't need to listen to the whole thing, but here's an example of, as you said, setting the battlefield by trying to use, famous people to spew this type of crap.
Hey everyone, it's Billy. I don't post videos like this often, but I will regret it if I don't. It's 2 weeks till the election. I'm getting a lot of texts and feeling a lot of people panicking, and then other people saying, no, don't panic. And I think those people are wrong. It is time to fucking panic, okay? And not just panic, but to do something about it. Because like many people are saying today, the polls are not good. I'm just going to be blunt. I don't work for the Kamala campaign. I'm just going to call it like I see it. The polls are not good. Trump has the momentum. The man's a fucking rapist who's been raping and sexually assaulting women his entire life.
That's a defamation suit if I've ever seen one.
A fucking nepo baby, incompetent motherfucker who is mentally disintegrating in front of our eyes, and his voters don't seem to care. So it's going to be up to the rest of us, fucking sane people, to save this, save our most vulnerable citizens, working class people, women who don't have access to abortions, LGBTQ folks, anyone with half a fucking brain. The education department, which he wants to completely eliminate. And I don't mean, I don't care. People are going to be like, Billy Eichner's yelling at us to vote. Great. You can be annoyed at me, but that's not the point. Everyone has to get in the game here. We have 2 weeks. We can't let what happened with Hillary in 2016 happen again. This man is a fucking rapist. He was convicted of it in a court of law earlier this year, but even if he wasn't. So people saying, oh, Donald and Kamala, that I see young people saying they're the same, or I hate him, but I don't know if I can vote for her. What the fuck are you talking about? Please get involved. He is a danger to the physical safety of.
Oh my God. So I can't take somebody seriously. He's a danger. Yeah. Okay. It's, no person who's, angry with a lisp like that has any credibility in my book, but that's just
who the hell is that guy anyway?
I don't know.
Why does he think anybody's going to pay attention to him?
Good job, Wendy. Yeah. All right. So, John, you first, then us to give me your thoughts on these famous people from Hollywood coming out hard against Trump. Why would they do it so consistently? That's all they talk about, by the way. I will say this, and I'm not going to tell the whole background of the story because I believe I've told it before, but Coach Lou Holtz, winningest coach NCAA football history, said to me face to face, there are two types of people in this world. Those people who elevate themselves by elevating everybody around them, and those people who elevate themselves by putting other people down. And that moron in that last video clearly falls into the second category. And Coach Holtz said to us when I was in a very small lunch meeting with him that the good news is you have a choice of which bucket you want to be in. You don't have to be that asshole like that guy. But give me your thoughts, John, on all of Hollywood with very few exceptions.
Well, I will direct your attention back to what we're seeing happening with legacy media is also happening to Hollywood. That's why they're screaming louder than they ever have. They have less influence than they ever had. People saw the craziness that happened in 2020, and I think that's really where it started to spiral out of control. Movies don't make money anymore because they inject all of this garbage, leftist, woke crap. Disney is losing all of its money. All of these people are screaming the screams of a dying art. And that's what's going on. And the reason that they are pushed into doing this stuff is because they've been brought up in this echo chamber of leftism. Mm-hmm. It's nothing but an echo chamber. And the media, I mean, you're talking about, news media and celebrity media. They're just two sides of the same coin. It's the same people. It's the same types of people that go into these and get hired by these companies. And so it's no surprise that they're screaming and they think that they can use their last bit of influence to do this. We're not having it anymore. We're not having it. It's just like the election fraud. We're not standing for it anymore, guys. You guys, there was a time when we would have cared about what you thought. Guess what? That time is come and gone. It's like trusting somebody that's cheated on you. Sorry, just not going to happen. It's not going to happen anymore. Guess what? Everything you say is going to be looked at through a lens of, oh, are you lying to me again?
It goes even further than that, John. I've never been a big TV person, but I like to have something playing in the background. So a movie, whatever. I cannot watch anything with Robert De Niro in it I cannot listen to any of Bruce Springsteen's music, which I grew up on in high school. I just can't do it. It makes my blood boil, just thinking of who's saying it, who's doing it. And I mean, I don't think I'm the only person like that. I think they've shot themselves in the foot, because people like me, you couldn't pay me to go see a movie with any of these clowns in it, because I'm not going to participate in anything that makes them a penny. They're assholes. S2.
Yeah, well, like I said, they're floating a bunch of people out there right now that are basically nobodies in the first place. So I don't know who that guy is. I don't care who that guy is. I don't care what his opinion is, especially when he comes out and when you start a sentence out that says "I feel," that tells me everything
Right.
I need to know about. That tells me everything I need to know, and all of a sudden my ear holes close, and I just walk away. So yeah, meltdown after meltdown after meltdown. I think Hollywood needs to get a grip on itself and realize they're not as relevant as they think they are.
Yeah, exactly. So let's move on.
And I think that guy was probably part of Diddy's clan too, by the way.
Entirely possible. Absolutely entirely possible. So let's bring up this next one here with Ivan Raiklin, and then I have a small announcement to make regarding him. So this was a speech where the sheriff was present. Ivan Raiklin, if you haven't been paying attention, this guy has been dropping massive bombs on Democrats recently. And I'll tell you what the minor announcement that I was going to make is that he will be on Survival Dispatch News at some point in the very near future. We have a bunch of mutual friends. We're just working out schedules right now.
Deep state marauder.
There may be members of the federal government that were involved in the censorship regime, from FBI, Department of Justice, CIA, ODNI, that have a vote here, that communicated while they were docked here. State Attorney? Sheriff? Is it possible? What if I were to present to you elements of both state crime? Come on, Antifa, come in here. I get first dibs. I get first dibs, buddy.
So how much did Elon Musk?
What's your name?
How much did Elon?
Ivan Raiklin.
How long did Elon Musk spend with this?
This happens every time, by the way, because they love me and they fear me. All right, buddy?
No, I'm the sheriff. You're under arrest now. You're under arrest.
Ivan Raiklin is not the guy's face you want to get in.
Example, thank you.
So go ahead and speak to that, S2. I love him. He's great. I'm really looking forward to having him on Survival Dispatch News.
He's the deep state marauder, and he is not the guy's face you want to get into. He will absolutely fuck you up.
Yep. God bless him. John, your thoughts on those types of interactions? Because they're happening on a regular basis, right? These people feel emboldened that they can get in people's faces. They can scream and yell and interrupt and physically assault people. And I think we need to see more instances of what that sheriff did and just say, you're under arrest.
Yeah. All I can say is be careful of what you ask for.
Mm-hmm. Well said. Well said. So I don't know if you guys follow Phoenix Ammunition on X. The guy's pretty witty. He's pretty good. And so his video today says if Trump wins next week, the Democrats are going to make J6 look like a children's birthday party, and they'll use the media to gaslight the world into thinking that it's your fault. Meanwhile, the presses are banging out the ammo. So I like the underlying theme, what he had to say there. All right, so here is an absolute crazy cat lady, Randy Weingarten. This broad is batshit insane. And well, just listen to what she has to say. Every video I watch of her, I just think, oh my God, like she should be in a mental institution.
We're going to make sure that there's housing benefits, that people can have home ownership, that we can attack the price gougers, that we can have unions, that we can have a public school system, that we ban assault weapons, not ban books, that we lift up history, we don't erase it. That's who Alyssa Slotkin is. That's who Kamala Harris is. They want to solve problems. They want to lift things up. We're going to make sure that there's housing benefits, that people can.
So she's the head of the American Federation of Teachers, and she's been, campaigning on behalf of Kamala quite vigorously, but she's literally cuckoo. Some of her videos, I don't know if you guys have seen them, but she jumps up and down. She's flailing her arms. She's got fake, crocodile tears. It's going to be the end of the world. The sky is falling. Blah 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 blah. I mean, I personally think over the next, what do we have left? 9 days or something like that, or 9-10 days. We're going to see these types of performances like the videos we've been watching tonight of people just coming completely unglued because they know what's going to come out of this as far as the election results are. They can't cheat enough to get around it. As long as we finish strong and we do what we're supposed to do, and that's vote between now and November 5th. S2?
I think it's funny as hell. This is going to make the best 2 weeks of entertainment that I think I've seen in a long time.
Well, your thumbnail, S2, be prepared for a lot of videos like that.
Right?
Oh, great. Like I said, you want to make comedy great again? Just let this play out.
Yeah, no question. The perfect timing for that type of comment as far as this guy here, millennial, possibly Gen Zer, but this is your typical, call it person with extreme Trump derangement syndrome. Yeah, this is good.
Oh! Hey! You stay away from him! I will fucking hurt you! You better watch out! Back up, boss! Fuck you, right? You want to get back up, boss!
So legit question. John first, S2 second. Have you seen any videos like that where it's a Trump supporter behaving like that?
Nope.
Have you looked for videos like that would show a Trump supporter behaving unhinged like that?
Well, here's the thing. I haven't necessarily gone out looking for them, but if they existed, trust me, leftist X and media would have them on repeat for 24/7, trying to show that as the entirety of the Trump supporters. Just like they framed January 6th into, the worst day since the Civil War.
Right. Yeah. As to, have you seen any videos like that of deranged Trump supporters behaving in such a manner?
No, that particular guy right there, I think he was possessed. I mean, I have seen these people and how they behave, and I have seen things on their faces that I swear looks like they're exactly possessed.
Entirely possible, I guess, at this point, right? So we've played the next video previously, but I'm going to play it again because these people are accusing us, Trump supporters, as being the unhinged ones, and clearly it's the other way around. But let's hear what this asshat has to say again, just because we can't repeat this enough times to make sure that everybody understands the Democrats are telling us what they're going to do. They've already authorized the DOD vis-a-vis Directive 5240.01 to use deadly force against Americans on American soil if any agency, law enforcement agency, including a city PD, all the way up to the feds, requests mutual aid. They're not going to certify the election. They're going to unleash the American military against us. And here it is, straight from the horse's mouth.
It's going to be up to us on January 6th, 2025 to tell the rampaging Trump mobs that he's disqualified. And then we need bodyguards for everybody in Civil War conditions, all because the 9 justices, not all of them, but simply do not want to do their job. But he is just, it's going to be up to us on January 6th, 2025 to tell the rampaging Trump mobs that.
Sorry about the delay there. I'm getting attacked by a pit bull. We've discussed this before, but I'd like both of you to weigh in on it one more time, just because this is some pretty serious stuff. Thoughts on his comments as far as we're going to have to deploy the military in Civil War-like conditions against the MAGA voters because we're not going to certify the election. I mean, it's not, to me, it doesn't sound like a big stretch when they're actually telling us that this is what they're going to do. John?
Well, as I said earlier, they always accuse us of what they're trying to do. And so they're going to take this to the nth degree. They're going to explore every option they possibly can. They'll use all the power that they can. Remember, they have the Senate currently, so they can hold up the certification of the election. According to the Constitution, the president of the Senate, who is the VP and who is currently the candidate for president. Now, I don't know constitutionally. I haven't done enough research to know if she has to recuse herself constitutionally or if she by just, conflict of interest would recuse herself. I don't think Harris would recuse herself. And I think she would absolutely, if it's within her power to not certify the election, would not certify the election. That's not even dipping into what Raskin's talking about of using the 14th Amendment, using all of these other things to try and gum up the works, for lack of a better term, trying to stop him from being able to take power. And by proxy, trying to start civil unrest on a mass scale.
Yeah, absolutely. S2, your thoughts on Jamie Raskin and these clowns?
Yeah, well, Jamie Foreskin, as I like to call him. But actually, that's not the way it works with this situation. So we hold the election. We decide who the House members are going to be and who the Senate members are going to be. They are seated before certifying the election. It's not the old Congress that certifies the elections. It's the new Congress that does that. So they can try to set up all of this rhetoric all they want to, but I don't think, for starters, turning the military on the American people, not a good idea, because number one, what we said over and over and over again is that the majority of the military are, because of what they do in their jobs as far as being the middle management folks and the lower ranked folks, they're largely conservative. They have a duty to follow the United States Code Military Justice. They can say, this is an unlawful order, I'm not following it. So they can set this up all they want to, and that's really what they've been trying to do, is set these conditions for this. They've been trying to foment a race war. They've been trying to foment a religious war, and now they're trying to pit the Democrat people against the Republican people, and nothing's going to work. It's not going to work. You can have all of the people in the streets dancing around and creating chaos all you want, but at the end of the day, the outcome is still going to be the same, in my opinion.
Well, just play devil's advocate. The police in Ottawa, Canada's capital, during the trucker protests were ordered to basically disband the protest. And a bunch of them said, no, that's an unlawful order. I'm not familiar with all the intricacies of the Canadian Constitution. I know it's not as good as ours is, but because of officers saying that, reacting that way to a command, they shipped in cops from other locations who were downright jackboots. And absolute power corrupts absolutely. And there is an element in every group that's good and an element in every group that's bad. And if you tell some bad people in the military that they have the power to use lethal force against people that they are convinced are really bad people, it will happen on some scale. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. John, your thoughts as a veteran? I know where you would stand on this, but 12 years, you spent a lot of time with other people. There's no way that everybody that you cross paths with during that 12 years was a great person.
No. And there are all types that join the military. Good people and bad people. I mean, in all walks of life, in every career field, police, down to, the corporate world, there are good and bad people in all walks of life. And there are competent good and bad people in all walks of life. Now, I generally think that overall, good people are the ones that are going to rise to the top if they're allowed to. However, what we have seen with the political nature of the military over the last probably 2 decades is very, very shocking. I think that overall, probably 70-80% of the people, the rank and file members, the enlisted members of the military, are still good, solid people, because military patriotism, all of that stuff, lends itself to our side of the aisle overall. That's why you've seen the concerted effort with recruitment to try and attract the purple-haired nut jobs with the My Two Moms, videos, recruitment videos that we've gone over ad nauseum. So, but it doesn't take a lot to wield that power. And what you have to be prepared for is, there's going to have to probably be a lot of people. Let me back up for a minute. The real problem is in the officer corps, specifically the upper ranks of the officer corps, because for a long, long time, that has been the most corruptible part, because they go through the college system, the university system. They get indoctrinated with the same BS that a lot of these purple-haired liberals and leftists are indoctrinated with. So there's going to probably come a time, and very soon, where there's going to be a lot of enlisted people that are going to have to say no and disobey orders that they're given. But there's still going to probably be some that will carry out those orders. I would point you to a book that was written called Ordinary Men. That book is about a police unit in Poland in the middle of World War II. Just a Polish police force that was recruited to kill Jewish people. And at first, they didn't want to do it. And they were given the option not to do it. And they followed orders. And as the book progresses, it shows the absolute carnage that just ordinary people, these weren't Nazis, these weren't people that were indoctrinated by fascism. They were regular people. And they did horrible things. And they killed hundreds of thousands of Jews. And this was just following one unit. There were multiples of these that spanned across the Holocaust. So it's not out of the realm of possibilities that there are people that generally think of themselves as good people that could do bad things. It's a great book, by the way. And if you want kind of a mirror into how people, what the slippery slope of this stuff is, that's a great book to read.
I think some of that stuff actually overlapped into some of the sniper history that I've read about frequently.
Yeah. So we're not above, human beings are not above doing horrible things. And I would generally say that people in this country are not above doing horrible things. I generally like to think that Americans, tried and true, red-blooded American people, are all you're going to see a lot more of what's going on in North Carolina than you are this stuff, but it's not outside of the realm of possibilities.
So I got to pull something up here that was not in the brief because it's very germane to the point you just made, John, in the conversation at hand. Are you familiar with the Stanford prison experiment that was conducted in 1971?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah. So for those people in the audience who are not aware of this psychologist, Philip Zimbardo, wanted to examine, forces versus dispositions in human behavior. So they took 24 young people, basically judged to be psychologically normal. And they assigned half of them to be prisons and half of them to be guards in an actual, lockdown type scenario. And they had to terminate the experiment after 6 days because of the extreme behavior that emerged in both groups. And the situational forces essentially overwhelmed the dispositions of these participants. So pacifist young men assigned as guards began behaving sadistically, inflicting humiliation and suffering on the prisoners. Prisoners became blindly obedient and allowed themselves to be dehumanized. So when I used the police in Ottawa during the trucker protest as an example, that's what I'm referring to right there. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And if you take that small element of bad people, every group has them, but you take that small element of people in the military who are subject to this, these were even normal people. Like they didn't even necessarily have any bad, psychological problems. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. I don't know how else to state it other than that. I mean, I guess it's a shitty statement on society. So I should have probably shown this next post earlier, but no big deal. The reason I brought this up is because it really shows you where people's heads are on the left. Of course, there's some piece of shit sitting right behind home plate wearing a Make America Great Again hat, looking for attention at the World Series. Hey, Dodgers, you going to do anything about really divisive political statements on such an important worldwide event like this? Like, actually, you know what? We can stop and have a short discussion on this. Anything that liberals disagree with, they want censored. And you basically touched on earlier, John. They want to live in their bubble where they have confirmation bias on everything that they believe. And when presented with something that doesn't jive with their wrong perception of reality, that's the type of reaction you get, right? They get pissed off. They're upset. How could you allow these people to do these things? Oh my God, the sky is falling, blah, 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 blah. These are mentally unstable people. There's no other way to categorize it. And apparently, the Democrat Party attracts those types of people. I don't know if we need to add anything more to that, but the next section of our brief tonight is on Antifa. And I would say that S2 is by far the resident expert in that regard. So I'm going to play a couple clips quickly, and then we'll go to S2 first for his take on these things. But the first couple of videos that I have here are videos that were shot the morning of January 6, 2021 of Antifa dressing up as mega Trump supporters to go and cause problems at the Capitol on January 6, 2021. So here you go.
He's getting his disguise on.
Okay, so ignore this. I'm going to wear a mask underneath the mask. You should wear this. I'm wondering if I should wear, what do you think I should wear as a hat? Should I wear this or this? Yeah. Here, this is your mask.
Oh my God, the America mask.
Dude, I'm not fucking with you. You got to blend in. I know you can't stomach wearing it, but like you need to blend it. You have to have a visual identifier. You're not coming if you're not wearing this.
All right.
You could also wear this.
The America hat might be my move, but we'll see. I'll bring them both in my backpack.
We've got Fox News, OAN,
CNN. We're ready to.
We're ready.
I don't know if we're committing crimes doing this, but
Are you insinuating that I don't work for all three of these companies simultaneously?
I am at least a little bit insinuating that.
You feel like you think that I don't work for all of them.
So I've got another video of the same, topic. We'll play this, and then S2's first crack goes to you.
Look, I just left the protest at the Capitol building, and I got a big bruise on my leg. I had a difficult time pulling off the act that I was paid to do. And I'm making this video because I want to confess that I was paid to pretend to protest. today.
So Antifa member paid to protest, but appearing as a Trump supporter as opposed to Antifa. S2, you want to start this conversation?
Well, first guy, if I had to say, I'd say he was probably a Fed. He seemed to have, I know these guys are taught tradecraft, but he seemed to be very specific in his tradecraft and what he was saying. And I would have loved to have seen what was in that plastic bag that they brought out. But of course, they blurred that out. But the second guy totally aligns with what I've been saying for the last couple of weeks. I actually talked to an ex-Antifa member who has told me that there are things going on within the communities right now where they're starting to realize that they can't continue on doing things as they have. And I think really, and Mike Shelby and a bunch of other people actually agree with me on this, is that they've lost the momentum that they had as a result of just not getting any more support anymore. People have become, what's the word I'm looking for? People on the Antifa side have gotten tired. You can only behave this way for so long before you start feeling the strain of it. And some of them have also started to feel that they don't see a future of continuing to behave like this. So I guess the thing is that, okay, they got what they were after in 2020. Okay. Now what? They tried to go after what they wanted with the Occupy Wall Street thing. Now what? What's the next now what? And when does it end? When does your utopian world begin? It will never begin as long as you continue acting like this. And I think that's what a lot of them have started to realize. And like I said, after having the conversation that I've had with this ex-Antifa member, I think what's happening is they're pulling back and they're starting to reorganize, and the old guard is being replaced with the new guard. Now, the danger in that, if we remember what happened in Vietnam with the Khmer Rouge went out and started recruiting the children, which we've seen that happen also. And we've seen the video of the teacher that says, this is how I'm going to radicalize my students, and basically gives them homework that gives them extra credit if they do these things that he's asked them to do. So this is what I see happening: is the old guard is being replaced by the new guard. The problem with it is that the new guard can be even more vicious than the old guard ever was, and because they have no restraint whatsoever. But there is also a piece of this there too, that they also don't have the skills and expertise to be able to do all of the things that the old guard did. And if they're going to eliminate the old guard, just like they did with Joe Biden, they're not going to be able to pull it off anymore. And people have gotten wise to their tactics, and they're going to push back, and they're not going to be pushing back easy this time. It's going to be punches in the face.
Just like Mike Tyson predicted. John, what is your perception of Antifa as they've seemingly gone through some transition here, like S2 just laid out for us, and what role they potentially play after November 5th?
Well, I think I generally agree with that. It just feels kind of tired at this point in a lot of ways. It's like, it's kind of like you're seeing kind of the last breaths of something, and I don't know if it's going to evolve into something else, but you're kind of feeling like they're just tired. It kind of feels like a lot of the left is just tired because they're having to put forth so much energy, so much capital, so much, of what they've built up over decades when they had control because for lack of a better term, that Trump is just, it's a Trump train, and they can't keep up with it. Like, the dude is, in a lot of ways, one of the most resilient people that I've ever seen in my life, as far as being just being able to take the punch after the punch after the punch to the point where they're just exhausted. It's like that. It's like a fighter that's really nimble. Muhammad Ali would be a great example of that. Just wearing your opponent out, and that seems to be what Trump is so good at, being able to wear an entire movement down, an entire movement on the left, and that's really what it feels like. So I definitely agree with S2's synopsis on this and analysis. Is that, man, they just seem tired right now.
So I'm not saying that I disagree with either one of you, but I will remind everybody that if we look outside the country, it's a good indicator of what's fixing to come here next. So,
well, one comment before you move on to a next clip, Chris. One thing we have to remember is what Antifa had on their side back in 2020 and back in all of these other little stupid things that they did. They had the luxury of anonymity back then. They don't have that anymore. We know where they live. We know their names. We have their phone numbers. We know where they work. There's been enough of us out here that have been hunting them for the last 4 years. They no longer have that anonymity anymore. It's not going to play out the same way.
And I'm not saying that it is going to play out the same way, but I will say that if we watch other Western countries, what happens there is a great predictor of what's going to happen here as a bellwether. So today, not in the past, earlier today, there were big protests in the UK, and they've put Tommy Robinson in jail right now and charged him with, some sort of terrorist bullshit crap, which is all he's done is stood up and told the truth essentially. And I guess Andy No is over there right now because I've seen quite a few posts from him from the UK. So this is Antifa and far left action against the Tommy Robinson rally. The leftist extremists tried to stop police from arresting an assault suspect. The militants believe it is their duty and right to attack or kill people that they disagree with. So let's have a quick look at this. So let's show overhead view of this. There's no audio with this. I think this might be from a security camera, but you've maybe got a dozen cops surrounded by hundreds of Antifa, left-wing agitators, whatever you want to call them. This was slightly before then. Lots of people out with their Antifa flags, wearing their masks per usual. And the point I'm trying to draw is that, yeah, I think Trump is definitely wearing these guys down to a certain extent. And I think he's probably got the ability to do that to just about anybody, not just Antifa. But they're not completely out of the picture. And I wouldn't put it past some of the people in Antifa to commit some pretty violent acts, especially whether it be something like pipe bombs or anything along those lines. And I had a bunch of surveys pulled up, and again, I can't share them because now all of a sudden they're behind a paywall, but Politico is as left-wing as it gets. And they published an article that people in Washington, meaning Washington, D.C., of course, in this context, are fleeing town for election day because so many of them believe, rightfully so, that there's going to be civil unrest and violence after the election. I think if, let's just say that they do steal the election for Kamala, the right's not going to stand for it. There's going to be civil unrest. I don't see that happening because I believe that we're too big to rig now. But on the flip side, if it's announced that Trump didn't just get the electoral college votes, but he got the popular vote as well, the left are going to lose their mind. They're going to absolutely lose their mind. So I personally believe there will be some involvement on the part of Antifa, but I also believe that there will be some involvement that's just your run-of-the-mill, average, everyday SSRI, Xanax popping left-wing liberal with purple hair that are going to behave unhinged. Look at the videos we've looked at tonight. You have people screaming in babies' faces because they hate Donald Trump so much. You've got people throwing hot coffee on each other because, you know, if you support Trump, you're the devil, so on and so forth. I wouldn't put anything by anybody right now in a large crowd as far as mob mentality is concerned. So, final words on that before we move on, John?
Yeah, I mean, in reality, maybe I could phrase it this way. Maybe it's more they're backed up against the wall. So there's still danger in somebody who's backed into a corner.
Absolutely.
And so, but you could really see the last ditch effort come after this election. That last, like, okay, we're going to put all of our, we're going all in on the poker table. We're going to unleash everything.
Could be. I won't disagree because I'm at this point of the game. I'm convinced that any of this stuff could happen. S2, you want any parting words on Antifa, left violence?
I'm with you, Chris, on this. I mean, anything is possible. I mean, anything has always been possible with regard to any event. I've spoken my piece on what I think what their position is. In my years of studying Antifa and their ideology, one of the things that I found what I've come to find out about them after, and this has been proven by talking to them, the ones that are reformed anyway, they really do have a lot in common with us. They just want to be left alone to live their lives, have a family, but they have some other things that have to occur as well. You know, for instance, you need to go get a job. Guys, the only reason you're doing this is because you didn't have a job. So go get a job. It's just like with these left-wing wingnut women out there that have too much time on their hands. You want to take away some of that time? Go get pregnant. You won't have any more time on your hands left to go do this crap.
Right.
So, you know, I don't have a lot of formulated thoughts on this. I just have what I feel the vibe is in the environment. And after talking to some people, what my belief is that has been cemented, or I wouldn't say totally cemented, but it's been verified that what my thoughts have been all along is exactly what it is. And I don't think that I think if you're going to see anything that's really going to happen, I think you're going to see where BLM went back underground and they rebranded themselves. Those are the people I think you're going to see come out. I think Antifa is done with this nonsense to a large extent, not totally, to a large extent.
Yeah, and for people who, you know, just tuning into SDN for the first time, BLM rebranding themselves is essentially the pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas demonstrators out there for the most part. So we're in the home stretch here. I've got a handful of kind of like miscellaneous things to show that are on the periphery of our conversation tonight. But this next one is a great example of the pill-popping, crazy cat ladies on the left. So have a look at this. The end of this video, by the way, is freaking hilarious.
You're taking my property.
Well, you know, there's been a lot of comings and goings of UPS trucks in this neighborhood.
What about
a
that?
lot of packages coming to this house particular. Well, something's going on in there. Something's going on in there.
It's Amazon.
I'm taking the package.
It's my Amazon wish list.
I'm taking the package.
No, you're not taking my package. That's nice stuff.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Ow! Oh my God!
I did not kill you. You're fine. You sprayed me with whatever that stuff is. You're taking.
Oh my God! Like just hilarious. So
that reminds me of Nick Swardson and the old
that had to be.
I was murdered.
That had to be staged. That had to be staged.
I don't know that had to be staged. That's the point is that these people are mentally unstable. So moving on to the next one, as we're in the home stretch again here. Check out Kamala's response when she gets heckled.
Rally? Oh my God, they were chanting Donald Trump. Watch this. Watch how pissed she gets. She gets pissed.
I'm here because we believe in democracy. Everyone's voice matters, but I am speaking now. You know what? If you want Donald Trump to win, then say that. Otherwise, I'm speaking.
Look how mad she is. Look at her face. Look at her face. Look at her face. She's pissed. No. She looks like she's going to cry. Get out of here. She's yelling now. How embarrassing. You're not going to see that at Trump rallies. Oh, no. She's done.
All right. So the next one here.
Now I saw the way Kamala looked at DJT when they were in the debate, and I'm going to tell you, I think Kamala loves Donald. I really do.
Well, she probably does. She probably get daddy issues like everybody else on the left. Here's the photo that the Harris campaign released to say, no, really, Kamala really did work for McDonald's back in the day. She did not work for McDonald's. McDonald's have confirmed that. And then her team went and photoshopped the picture on the right. And without getting overly technical, it's really easy to determine if a picture has been modified. When you break it down to the pixel by pixel frame, it's really easy to identify. And this is an altered picture. It's complete bullshit. And it's just another lie. Like all of them on the left, they are a bunch of pathological liars. She lied about working for McDonald's, and she created a lie to try and back it up. And oh, by the way, some friend who she hasn't reportedly seen in something like 40 years came forward to say, oh yeah, Kamala worked at McDonald's back in the day. It's crazy. All right. So anybody who watched the Rogan Trump video probably noticed that Joe Rogan said multiple times, I'd really like to play this, but I don't want to get a channel strike, a copyright strike. And that's real. So here's the thing. One of these days, I'll show a screenshot of one of our YouTubes where, number one, every single video that we put on YouTube, we have to file a dispute over the music that's used in our bumpers, the beginning and end of the videos, which we have paid subscriptions to several sites that qualifies for that. So they downplay the video, they suppress it. I put the dispute in, I get up the next day, and the AI has been overruled by the person who actually owns the music. They recognize that we have a license to play it, but sometimes that doesn't happen, and it escalates and escalates and escalates, and it will get to the point, and we've been there many times, where they basically say, listen, if you want to dispute this any further, we'll have a human being look at this, and if we rule against you, it's going to be a strike on you, a copyright strike. And we've taken it all the way and got the strikes. And here's the thing, is that the last time we got suspended on YouTube because we mentioned something to do with weather stuff, I put the dispute all the way through to the final step, wrote a very eloquent response showing, why we had the right to publish the content that we published. And it said, you will not get a response for 72 hours. We're going to put this in front of a human being. I clicked submit, went back to my email, and not 60 seconds later, got an automated email, said, we've decided against you. You got the strike. So that's why Donald Trump says all that stuff. This is a really funny video. And the reason I'm leaving it up like this is so anybody who's interested wants to see it. This person says, this is the best Trump victory dance yet. And it is. It's funny as all get out. But if I play this video, even under the fair use doctrine, we will get a copyright strike for playing it on YouTube. YouTube is a completely narrated, censored, and suppressed platform. They're complete shitheads for this copyright crap. You know what? If you stole somebody's body of work, that's one thing. But to play, you can't even play 5 seconds of a song like the one that's in this video without getting a copyright infringement, going through all the steps. And if you take it to the end and you say, look, I don't have a license, but I do have the rights of fair use, you will get an instant strike. They are suppressing all kinds of stuff. And like I said, if you watched Joe Rogan with Donald Trump, I lost track of how many times of him describing something and saying, man, I really would have liked to show this to you, but we don't want to get a copyright strike. It's truly that bad with these guys. So anyway, that's why I'm not playing that. However, if you're a Survival Dispatch insider on Patreon, patreon.com/Survival Dispatch, this brief has already been posted for insiders. The links are there. You can click on it. You can go watch the video yourself. So,
but they never say anything when Kamala plagiarizes everybody.
Yeah, right. I mean,
well all of that suppression and strikes, I guarantee you, is one-sided.
Oh, 100% it is. I mean, Google and YouTube are shit companies that have an agenda. And by the way, we announced it a couple nights ago. We broke the news. We were the very first ones to break the news because I'm friends with Andrew Bailey's chief of staff. Andrew's the attorney general in Missouri, and he is going after Google for election interference for all the shit that they pulled in 2020, and they're doing it again in 2024. So when you go and look at something on Google, it's all pro Kamala, and anything that's pro Trump is like 4 or 5 pages deep, which nobody goes that deep. What they're doing is election interference, and they deserve to be slapped around for it. So anyway, that being said, in typical fashion, for Survival Dispatch News, something I've always insisted on since I acquired the company was that we can take something from the news cycle that's top of mind. We can report on it. We can editorialize it. But the one thing that we do that most podcasts, not all, but most podcasts don't do, is we give you actionable steps that you can do to have some sort of positive effect on your life, the country's life, whatever the issue is at hand. So I'm going to rip through a bunch of bullets here, and then I'll go to you, John, and then S2 to chime in on your thoughts, and we'll be down to the conflict of question. We'll wrap this up. So what can you all do out there in the audience? Okay, number one, make sure the election is truly too big to rig. Take somebody with you to the polls who normally doesn't vote. We've got to stay hammered down on this. Yes, the vibe, as Tucker says, is completely swung in Trump's direction. The Kamala campaign knows it. I'll tell you right now that the polls, the back end polls that show the real results, because every time you see a poll that says it's a neck and neck race, go read the fine print, and it'll say, well, we sampled 50% Democrats and 30% Republicans and 20% independents. And that's how they skew the results. But I'll tell you, on the unskewed polls that have not been released, because I have friends in that industry, you're talking 70%, give or take 1 or 2 points, are going to vote for Trump. But we got to drive this thing home. You have to go vote. Your vote really counts this time around more than ever before. Next bullet, stay on top of recent developments on X and SDN on all the platforms that we're on. So we're on Facebook, LinkedIn, a couple channels on YouTube, big channels, 400,000. Then we've got the smaller SDN channel, X, Rumble, and Cloud Hub. Ensure that your self-defense tools are in top-notch condition. Make sure all your optics have batteries in them. Make sure that they're zeroed properly. I know that we've said this before, but we're going to keep saying it as long as there's a threat being posed. Make sure that you are protected with some sort of self-defense coverage. It's up to everybody what they want. I will tell you that I've dove really deep into the self-protection stuff. We were a premier USCCA member for a long, long time. Then they started enforcing their clawback clause. U.S. Law Shield has never done that, but they have similar language that they could potentially use at some point in the future. Attorneys on retainer, go have a look at them. When you pay for them, you're paying for legal representation, but if you need subject matter experts, you will pay out of pocket for them tens of thousands of dollars. And the best choice that I've found, bar none, CCW Safe. Stay tuned on that. We'll have more information on CCW Safe going forward. Next bullet, avoid going out alone, especially after dark. Next bullet, avoid bad areas, the hood, on gas stations that are in communities that you're not entirely familiar with, rest stops in areas that you're not particularly familiar with. Next bullet, make a mental note or take pictures of homes and businesses who have Harris and wall signs, because if the shit hits the fan, those are potentially your foes. By the same token, make a mental note or take pictures of homes and businesses who have Trump Vance signs, because they're potential allies. And if they're in your neighborhood, I highly suggest that you befriend them so that you have an alliance of good guys. Next bullet, report suspicious people ASAP. Take videos. Don't try and take pictures of stuff. Take videos of everything. So if I want to get the perfect picture, I will take a video and then slowly go through it frame by frame and snap a screenshot. And there's my still image that I was looking for. It's a very effective. There have been times I've been with somebody like Vivek Ramaswamy when I was with him, and I said to this guy, I handed my phone, I said, do me a favor and take a video of this. He switched it back to picture, took a couple pictures. They're horrible pictures. If he had done what I requested, taken a video, I could have got a great screenshot out of it. Next bullet, make sure you have a get home bag fully equipped in your vehicle. The average American works 15 miles from home, and have a plan to get home, multiple different routes, whether your vehicle is running or not, whether the roads are open or not. Keith Graves has told our audience many times that when they had an intersection shut down because of whatever, that people would say, well, can't you just let me go through here? Because I don't know how to get home otherwise, because they just beat a path the same way over and over again. Next bullet, fortify your home. If things get really, really bad and you have food stacked up because you've done a good job at prepping, and people see your lights on maybe when the grid is down, you have a massive target on your back. And it doesn't matter what you do for fortification. If somebody wants in your house, they'll get in your house. But fortifying your home buys time. And that's the next and last piece that I have on here, is make sure you have a home invasion plan. That's regardless of whether or not we're in an election cycle or not. It's just a good thing to have. Let me give you an example. Former home that I owned, it was a very large home, and there were several bedrooms on one end and the master bedroom and everything on the other side. And we told the kids, we told everybody who stayed with us, if all hell breaks loose, you go to the bathroom that's at your side of the house and you get in the shower and crouch down so that I know where it's safe to shoot and not safe to shoot. And I'm not slinging any lead in the direction of that bathroom. It's a small component of a home defense plan. John, you first, then S2 for your recommendations on what people can do in light of everything we've discussed tonight.
Well, I think some of the most important things, you covered most of the bases. I would say for a home defense plan, run it too.
Yes.
Practice it, especially if you have small children, because they need to know what to do. They're not going to have the same kind of understanding of the situation that you are. So run that. We run our emergency plans all the time. My son, his bedroom is in the basement. We have egress windows. We have tested if there's a fire in the stairwell going upstairs, get out the egress window. We've run all of that stuff. Practicing, having a plan is important, but practicing it is probably as important, if not more important. So understand things.
Couldn't agree more on that. And I'll actually make one more comment in that vein, and you can attest to it, and so can S2. If you have a home invasion and you have to be on the move, generally speaking, as a general rule of thumb, you let the bad guy come to you because you know your home. He doesn't know where you are, but sometimes you have shooting a target while walking, while going towards danger, sideways, whatever the case may be, because I'm going to tell you right now, if you have not practiced that, you will not be able to hit the broad side of the barn when your heart rate's over 140 beats per minute and you've never practiced on the move. I'm fortunate that a very good friend of mine, Carl Cottle, has trained law enforcement for decades and did some work with me way back when, as far as a cadence in my head. My weapon of choice is an SBR, short barrel rifle, suppressed, 300 blackout in my home. And I practice that 5 days a week. I put 1,000 rounds downrange every single week, whether it's live fire, dry fire, whatever the case may be. And I have a cadence in my head now. And if you see somebody who's really good at shooting on the move, you'll notice that their feet barely come off the ground. They skim the ground, and you will see a cadence. I watched James from Pilgrim Ammo shoot one of my SBRs when we were practicing one day, and I gave my wife a nudge, and I said, see, you can see all the training that James has had, because look at his footwork. It's absolutely perfect. And yes, I say cardio as well, because again, human beings don't rise to the occasion. They follow their level of training, and you need stress inoculation. And that's why I train 5 days a week doing this stuff. As to your advice to the Survival Dispatch audience, what can they do in light of everything we've discussed tonight to improve their situation?
Get fuel. Keep some extra fuel on hand. If you need to get out, top your gas tanks up. I never let my gas tank go below a half a tank these days. I developed that strategy a long time ago when gas prices started to go through the roof. I actually got to a point where I would never let my gas tank go below 3/4 of a tank. Yes, fuel does get old. Go buy some PRI-D or PRI-G, which are fuel refreshers. They will actually take old fuel and make that as though it were newer fuel. Get some octane boosters, add that to it, because no matter what additive you add to it, your fuel loses octane no matter what refreshers or what stabilizers you put with it. Get a couple of 5-gallon cans, keep some fuel on hand. If you got to get out, you got to get out. And you really ideally want to get out somewhere that is 2 hours beyond any large city, at least a full tank of gas. Everything else you guys have covered. So I got nothing else.
Well, no, that was an important one for sure. Very, very legit comment on your part, S2. Appreciate that. So, quick request of everybody out there. We peak somewhere around 700 concurrent people. When you see me looking over here, it's because I've got a large monitor with everything, each individual broadcast being presented. We're sitting still over 500. If you could like the mash button on whatever platform you're watching, we would greatly appreciate it. It helps to get that platform to recommend our video to other people. It's the only way that we break out of the suppression, hopefully, and we get the word out to more and more people. Other than that, we're down to the conflicted question of the night. And here we go. Pablo, the power-thirsty son of a Mexican drug lord, saw an opportunity in the collapse of society. He wanted to rise up and control areas that were governed by chaos. If power was your goal and you had a few dozen men in arms at your disposal, how would you go about increasing your influence? I'm going to give you a really quick, short answer. Then I'm going to go to S2 and we'll let John wrap up. I've led many different things over the years. And my advice to anybody who wanted to increase their influence is you lead by example. You never ask somebody to do something that you're not willing to do yourself. And if you're truly proficient at something, then you show everybody else that you do have that level of proficiency, and respect is earned, not given, so to speak. S2?
I'd shoot Pablo in the face, take his head and put it on a pike out in my front yard. Say, this is what happens to everybody.
Okay, Negan.
Wow. I was channeling Mike tonight. Sorry.
You were channeling your inner Negan, is what the vibe I got. John, driving home.
Well, leadership. Good leadership is infectious, and it is you have to be somebody that people want to follow, and you make yourself that by leading by example, by being in the trenches with your people, not just giving orders. The best military commanders that I ever served under were the ones that were right there with us shoulder to shoulder, and that's 100% true, and that's the way that you inspire more people. So that's really the answer, and I don't want to tie everything back to Trump, but Trump is one of those guys that this guy's a billionaire and he has this ability to inspire average, everyday Americans. And it's because he doesn't present himself like an elitist.
He doesn't.
He is right there. He's eating McDonald's. Like,
Right.
You know, he's the dude that he just presents himself as an everyday person. And that is infectious. That is something that inspires people to follow. And so, you know, that's really what I could say is lead by example, be the person, have integrity. That's probably the biggest thing too. Having integrity, being what you see is what you get, and just being strong enough to lead.
I got to say something about what you just said, John. I have to do it because I made this comment to somebody today that I was talking with, who, by the way, was one of the people that was actually in Benghazi during the event. One of the things that I've noticed recently is there is a trend going on that Trump has been doing, and a lot of other people are following. And I'm going to tell you, this is an indicator of who is going to take their office when the election is over with. Trump has been going out there. He's been having town meetings. He's been taking questions from people out in the audiences that have been genuine people that are asking questions, not paid people like with Kamala. And what I've seen with other politicians that are out there right now is they're starting to follow that same mold as what Trump is doing. Mm-hmm. If you want an indicator of who's going to win their office, look at that pattern of behavior, because that is what's going to do it. People need and crave people in these offices that are going to be real, authentic people. The only way you can prove that authenticity is to get out among the people. As much as we hate it that Trump's getting out there and he's getting among the people and everything, and it increases his chance to be assassinated, he's doing what needs to be done. So I just wanted to point that out.
Good stuff, S2. Appreciate it. Yep. We will be back tomorrow night at the usual time, 7 p.m. Eastern. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. God bless America.
Hoorah.
It feels like 2008 all over again. The best way to protect your savings is with gold and silver. As the national debt soars past $34 trillion and the banking system wobbles, your financial well-being could be at risk. Precious metals like gold and silver hedge against inflation and dollar devaluation. They're perfect for diversifying your portfolio. With Goldco, it's easy. Get first-class service, step-by-step guidance, and a free wealth protection kit. In just 3 simple steps, you can roll over your 401k or IRA into precious metals, tax and penalty-free. Todd Callender and I chose Goldco because they stand out with over 6,000 5-star ratings, an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, and a highest buyback price guarantee. Don't wait. Secure your financial future. Visit survival.gold or click the link below to get your free 2024 Wealth Protection Kit now. Government agencies have been weaponized against us. The Secret Service reacts too late. The FBI manufactures cases. The ATF targets our firearms, and the FDA screws us to drive big pharma profits. We must support Trump, who literally took a bullet for us, and back independent media like Survival Dispatch News. Now they're aiming to make Black Forest NMN a regulated anti-aging product to drive more profits for big pharma. NMN is the only over-the-counter supplement I've taken that's noticeably increased my energy levels, allowing me to work extreme hours. I've taken almost every OTC supplement over the past 42 years that I've been training, many of them as a world champion powerlifter. Get your NMN before it's too late. Buy 2, get 1 free. Click the link below. Stay alert, stay strong, and stay safe.